Lately, the term red flag has exploded in our vocabulary, becoming the go-to shorthand for those warning signs we should run from in a new relationship. But here at Looks Fine Inside, we've noticed a chilling trend. Sometimes the biggest warning signs are the ones we are completely blind to. This isn't because you're unobservant. It's because your personal history has rewritten your internal radar. We tend to overlook toxic behavior when it mimics the environment we grew up in. Essentially, a red flag can go ignored simply because it feels like home. Our upbringing acts as a blueprint for our adult expectations. Think of it like this: if you were raised in a household where order and cleanliness were sacred, a chaotic partner would feel like a constant irritation. However, this same logic applies to the darker corners of our childhood. When we are conditioned to believe that certain negative behaviors are just how things are, we stop seeing them as threats and start seeing them as standard. One of the most common invisible traps is the absolute avoidance of friction. While constant screaming is clearly bad, a total lack of healthy disagreement is just as dangerous. Healthy partnerships require the occasional clash to clarify boundaries and deepen understanding. We should be able to own our mistakes and offer a sincere apology. But if you grew up with parents who buried every error under the rug, acting as if nothing ever went wrong, you might view this silence as peace rather than suppression. Research suggests that for children, the concept of responsibility is built on the pillars of honesty and equity. If your early role models couldn't admit when they were wrong or be transparent with you, you might find yourself in a relationship where the same ghosting of problems feels normal. Keep an eye out for that silence. At Looks Fine Inside, we know that what isn't said is often just as important as what is. Next, consider the weight of the hypercritical partner. As children, our parents are our primary architects, tasked with the massive responsibility of shaping our worldview. It's a delicate job, and some parents handle it with a heavy hand, imposing rigid, unyielding standards on everything we do. If you grew up in this shadow, you might have felt like you were running a race with no finish line, never quite sure if you were succeeding because the feedback was always a critique. Whether it was your hobbies, your grades, or even the friends you held dear, nothing was exempt from their disapproval. In your dating life, this can lead you straight into the arms of a controlling partner. They might frame their constant feedback as a way of helping you improve, but there is a world of difference between a supportive partner with valid concerns and someone who simply wants to mold you. If you feel judged in every facet of your existence, you're likely reliving a pattern that started long before you met them. On the flip side of control is the burden of the savior role. You might find yourself consistently drawn to people who are perpetually in crisis or who seem to demand your entire emotional capacity. This manifests as a suffocating neediness or possessiveness. They might guilt-trip you for wanting a night with friends, or repeatedly stomp over the boundaries you've tried to set. This red flag often stays hidden if you were raised in an environment lacking healthy emotional borders. If your childhood was hijacked by parents who relied on you to solve their problems or manage their moods, you likely experienced parentification. You were forced to grow up too fast, putting your own needs in a box to keep the household afloat because you were never allowed to prioritize yourself. Then you don't realize you're allowed to do it now. Then there is the crushing feeling of being perpetually insufficient. It's that knot in your stomach when talking to your parents, because you know the conversation will pivot to how you're falling short. It's not just a critique of your work, it's a dismissal of your entire trajectory. They might use polite language claiming they only want the best for you, or that you're wasting your potential. But the underlying message is clear: you are a disappointment. They weren't interested in what actually brought you joy. They were only interested in their version of your success. If your current partner constantly compares you to others, or subtly hints that you aren't hitting the mark, your brain might tell you this is just encouragement. Because it's the only language of love you've ever known. At the end of the day, love often makes us incredibly forgiving. But when we are habituated to dysfunction, our capacity for forgiveness can actually become a liability to our own well-being. We hope these insights from Looks Fine Inside help you recalibrate your internal compass. You shouldn't have to tolerate at a toxic environment just because the scenery looks familiar. If this perspective resonated with you, consider subscribing to help us continue exploring the hidden depths of our relationships. You deserve a connection that doesn't just feel familiar, but feels genuinely good. You have the power to break the cycle